You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God. We are The Breakfast Club. We got some special guests in the building. We have the good old doctors. Doctor, I'm going to mess up your names. Amsu and Amun.
How you gonna mess up their
Amsu.
names?
Dr.
You gonna
Amsu
mess up
and
their names
Amun.
after they put you on a detox and they've been up here 20
I know.
times?
You
know what I'm saying? You gonna mess up their names?
I mess up my mama's name. So we have Gessie here. Welcome, Gessie.
Hey,
and who do you
Coach
have with
Gessie.
you?
Thank you. Thank you.
And who do you have with you? Coach
Yes,
Gessie?
really excited. We have with us one of the Hope Sisters from our Hope Beyond Fibroids Elimination Program. Actually, this little guy right here, Carl Jr., is a miracle baby from our Hope Beyond Fibroids Elimination Program. And Rochelle Baines, his mom.
Now, this was important because we talked
Very.
about fibroids briefly up here, and a lot of people hit us up. A lot of women hit me up asking me about fibroid elimination. So we thought it would be important to talk about fibroids and how they affect a woman's body. A lot of black women actually get diagnosed with fibroids at a much higher rate than any other race. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so it's National National Women's Health Week, but we just came out of Mother's Day, right? Which is hard because a lot of people are dealing with infertility, and a lot of them it's brought on by fibroids. In Rochelle's case, it was just like me. It was brought on by fibroids, and many women don't understand that they're actually the options that they're being given are only advanced reproductive technologies such as IVF, which we're going to talk about. There are a lot of scary things associated with that. But I thought it'd be great for people, for the inspiration, for people to actually hear a bit about Rochelle's story and kind of how she got from having fibroids that cause infertility and severe hormonal acne, as well as severe debilitating cramps every month that took her out of school and work, so from young to adulthood, to now having a miracle baby.
And what's the percentage of black women that have fibroids?
90%.
90%. So this
It's a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pandemic. So literally, when you talk about anytime you speak, you say how many women to be affected. Literally, you'll see like 90% of women, and then on top of that, women in general, it's like 50 to 70% of women. So it's a women's issue.
So let's talk about your story and how Carl Jr. is here today.
Well, he's being so good. I don't even think Daddy's in the building.
Just in case,
Yeah, just in case.
So just for my story, I mean, now looking back, I was definitely had fibroids from the point where now looking back on my life, I really I was struggling from estrogen dominance all along from the age of 13. Mm-hmm. So even when I was actually diagnosed, now looking back, I had all the signs from the age of 13 when I broke out with hormonal acne. And of course, I kind of let that go on for about 3 years. And then at 16, I was put on birth control pills because I was told that it'll help improve your skin and all of my, debilitating cramps that I had.
And it regulates your period. You don't have such bad cramps. Your period is a lot shorter.
Right. So I went on for about 9 years. Things were great. Skin was clear, no cramps. And then I ended up getting married at 25. And immediately after getting married, you start thinking about children and starting a family. I get off the birth control pills and, oh my goodness, it was just
the
like...
gremlins came back.
Yeah,
aggressively.
Exactly. It was like being a teenager all over again, from having this severe cystic acne all over my face. It was just really bad. I mean, and it took a toll on me.
How do you know when you have fibroids?
Well, first of all, many people don't realize they have estrogen dominance, which is the root cause, okay? Because you can have the fibroids growing or the root cause that will develop it in your body by virtue of irregular periods. So that's an indicator, as well as severe cramping. Like, you should not bleed any more than about 3 tablespoons. So most women already have estrogen.
We all do.
Right. So most women have estrogen dominance, which is the root cause. All right. So for us, that's what we focus on, educating women on how it develops in their bodies. And because we don't have a lot of time, I want people, number one, to go to hopebeyondfibroids.com/elimination just to download our free teleseminar to learn about estrogen dominance, which is the root, how it develops in your bodies, what kind of changes you can make, specifically lifestyle changes, which is what, Rochelle did, literally.
Now, Rochelle, fibroids actually prevent you from, it causes infertility.
Yeah, in her case, they did. Not in every case, but they did in her case, definitely.
Okay, so explain that part of it.
So in my case, I ended up going, of course, after trying to have a baby for a year, I ended up going to an actual fertility clinic. And so that's when I actually found out that I had the fibroids, and I had a 16-centimeter pedunculated fibroid and a couple of other ones, but I also had one inside my actual uterine cavity, and that's what was causing the problems with fertility. So I was given, hey, let's schedule the surgery immediately.
Yeah, they actually wanted to do hysterectomy. and she didn't even have any children yet, right?
Wow.
So at that point, she just started looking
That's
for
very harsh. A hysterectomy.
very harsh, but it's typical. Especially, in fact, women are at the highest rate of hysterectomies. Black women, okay, black women are
4 to 5 times more likely than any
That's
other
crazy.
race.
yeah.
And the United States leads the world
In
for the amount-
hysterectomies.
in
So that's the
hysterectomy.
first thing that they jump to?
Yes, exactly.
Can you explain estrogen dominance to me? Because I thought women were supposed to have a lot of estrogen.
No, they're not. There's supposed to be a balance, and estrogen dominance is basically where the metabolism of estrogen is the issue, right? So there's a lot of what we call xenoestrogens, where you're getting things like pesticides, chemicals, phytoestrogens from food, and it's the way the body metabolizes it. Now, there's certain what we call cytochromes in the body, and it's the way how they are what we call epigenetics, how your genetics react to specific things, how they are expressed. So the metabolism is a process. There's different forms of metabolism, but the specific one what causes problems with estrogen is hydroxylation, right? There's 2 forms, there's hydroxylation and methylation. With hydroxylation, that causes all the harmful forms of estrogen, and it's down to an enzyme called aromatase. Now, I don't want to get too deep because I'm going to lose people, but this is the stuff for you all to look up. So you understand. So methylation actually utilizes estrogen in a positive way. Hydroxylation, which is an addition of an oxygen and hydrogen molecules, causes the issue. So estrogen dominance, we're surrounded by estrogen. It's a crazy situation.
Dr. Amsu, do you want to tell them where it comes from? Through stress, diet, and pollutants.
Right, pollutants
And
through
stress,
certain
diet, and
foods.
pollutants.
And this is the thing, is that the contraceptive pill, the birth control pill, that's the biggest setup, and it should be a crime for what OBGYNs are doing to especially young black girls,
They're
because
16 years
young black girls, they may have spotting in their cycle, and they'll say, oh, we want to regulate your cycle. They do it whether you're
You can even take
overbleeding.
pills to not get your period at all.
Right. There you go. So for
That always kinda
everything
scared me.
everything hormonal with black girls, especially, they're saying take the contraceptive pill, take the birth control pill. They know that the birth control pill is estrogen or progestin, and they cause endometriosis, they cause fibroids, they cause PCOS. And what they do when a girl goes to see a doctor or OBGYN, they say, oh, you only got a few fibroids, we're gonna monitor them, don't worry about it, we're just gonna keep an eye on it for now. When they go back, now they're like 8 centimeters, now there's like 40, 50 of them, then they say, all right, you need a hysterectomy because it's gonna cause problems, and it's a big setup. So
And
it's
I think a key
crime.
thing here is it's $1 billion business.
Right.
It is. You're talking about, let's track it, from the birth control pills, which in her case, they started her at 16 years old, okay? And it masked the symptoms because now she wasn't getting the triggers that her body was telling her it was becoming estrogen dominant, because it was covering up the acne and it was covering up the cramping, heavy cramping. So you're taking the birth control pills all that time. Then now your body, when she was off, she found out her body was developing fibroids to the point where she had a 16-centimeter fibroid, which is large, outside of the uterus, and then one inside and some others, which were now causing infertility. So guess what? Infertility, they want to push you to advanced reproductive technologies like IVF, cha-ching, okay, which is more estrogen treatments, all right? And then in between that, like in my case, right, I had 10 surgeries, 5 of them were for fibroids because the fibroids keep coming back.
So what do you suggest for women that have fibroids?
Well, very first thing is become educated. And like I said, that's why we give free information at our website, thedetoxnow.com/gift. They can get a free teleseminar to learn about how it develops, what kind of things they can do specifically to change. And that's why we developed the program. Like, she specifically found our program because when the doctor said hysterectomy, the bells went off. She was like, no, I'm not doing it. Her husband, I know Carl, you were like, not here. And then that's when she really started to do the research, and she found the program. And for us, through coaching, nutrition plan, the electric food, herbal supplements, and our daily practices, like, she was literally able to, what happened in the program?
Yes, I was on the program, and then I followed, of course, all of the steps, the 4 steps. And within, I'd say, probably about, 5-month period, I ended up getting pregnant. I wasn't focused on it, but I was, making sure that I was getting my sunlight, actually getting sleep and rest and things of that nature. So.
And I think the key thing is women want to know, how quickly did your symptoms change? Because she had severe acne that came back as an adult. Remember when she got off the pills, and the severe cramping, like debilitating cramping. How quickly did they change?
Immediately. Once I started changing totally all of my eating habits, I was vegan, but I wasn't actually eating the way I probably should have, not according to the nutritional plan. So, it was immediate. My first period, it was just like, oh my goodness, is this what it's supposed to be like? When are the symptoms going to show up?
Right. And then for her, the key thing was that Carl, when they were ready to get pregnant, her husband actually did the program with her. And within a month.
So it's important for men to do it as well?
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. Within a month's time, they actually conceived. And they had been fighting infertility for over a year. Like we actually did a whole story with them, Carl's version and her version, on our podcast, The Detox Living, and it's on thedetoxnow.com, so they can hear the full story, because I know you guys want to get the details. But it's critical, the support that the man gives, because there's also something called acidic sperm. You want to talk about that, Dr. Amun?
What?
Well, when you're talking about acidic sperm, it's basically down to a man's diet, his lifestyle. So him eating incorrectly and having that form of lifestyle, his sperm count will diminish, okay? And then that will lead to a result of them not able to conceive a child. So again, when we're talking about estrogen dominance, acidic sperm, it all ties right back to your lifestyle and what the intake you're having.
There's something about low sperm count that it's gonna upset a lot of black guys.
Yeah, we can't do it here.
Can't do it right now.
Weed, yeah, don't do it.
Well, yeah, I've always heard that weed lowers your sperm count.
By the way, the Nation of Islam been saying that.
I've always heard that.
Oligospermia and azoospermia, because there's a lot of estrogen in the bud of weed. And it's causing crazy outcomes where fertility and fecundity within black people, it affects men and women.
Another question: is it making men more feminine? That's another thing.
Yes.
So you just said it's like
andropause. It accelerates andropause.
Wow.
Although I do know some guys who smoke a lot of weed that have a lot of baby mamas.
That is the fact.
Listen, there are other factors. She just said there are a lot of
because the estrogen now starts rising and the depletion of testosterone in a man is taking place. So that's where now he's feeling more feminine, acting more feminine. Talking more feminine. So, and
it also leads to prostate cancer. You're talking about male pattern baldness. There are a lot of things. So it really, the estrogen dominance is something that affects the family, right? And you don't want to just, of course, in these cases, women are actually trying to cure a condition, but then you also want to prevent these diseases. And that's why we want to help people unleash their power to heal.
Now let's talk about the detox. I was on a 30-day detox.
Shout out to Envy.
Yeah, it was
looking good.
It was a rough one. Yeah, me and my wife. The first thing that people said was, first they thought I got paid from you guys. And I was like, no, I'm not getting paid. Like I'm just really doing it. They said that a 30-day detox is not healthy. So what do you say to people that say it's not healthy?
Well, what were they backing up? Because to say it's not healthy and why?
Yeah. Well,
did they give you an explanation? Because
they said, I guess eating fruit and not having only water fruits is not healthy.
Well, the thing is, with the 30-day detox, what you was doing, you wasn't starving yourself, right? And that's the difference with a detox, because your food is actually supposed to be the medicine to then detoxify your body. So you eating fruit, certain grains, drinking water, and taking the supplements, and you was exercising, I believe, through that. That is all the components of being healthy. When people say that's not healthy, they have to back it up, because we do this for years, and we have reversed such things as sickle cell anemia, diabetes type 2,
high blood pressure,
right, high cholesterol, all of these health conditions that people have been suffering with. They've done the detox, whether it's 14 or 30 days, and they've seen tremendous results. How do you feel yourself?
I feel
personally?
great. No, I'm good money. They also said that losing, as I lost 24 pounds, that 24 pounds in 30 days was not healthy.
Well, but you weren't losing. You were losing toxins. You were losing white adipose tissue. That's the critical part.
You see, that's the difference. You was using toxins out of the body, so you wasn't losing muscle mass.
You was losing fat.
You were losing fat. Now, when we say fat, we're making it clear: white adipose fat, because there's two types of fat. There's brown adipose and white adipose. You was losing white adipose. That's where the toxins are able to fester inside the body. So when you're saying you was losing weight, that's not
You were losing
totally correct.
bad fat.
You was
Yeah.
losing fat and toxins. Because we could say, from around your face, your chin, you look totally different. I didn't recognize you this morning.
It was like, who's this young guy?
You look, I mean,
Definitely
all
lost
jokes
age,
aside, like
yeah.
even if you didn't do our program, just seeing you over from when we was here, February or something like that, to now, you look younger, you look fresher, you look vibrant. You know?
feel better.
And you feel better. So
You was looking old and washed.
He looks like
they cleaned you up.
He looks like he can take you in an arm wrestle right now.
So the results speaks for themselves.
Right.
You know, so again, when people loosely just say that is dangerous, you don't. Come on, you got to be a bit, because we're coming with real life case study.
Right.
Real life case study is the ultimate truth.
Now, how many detoxes should somebody do a year? Is it one?
Okay.
Is it two? Is it
Well, what we recommend would be 2.
2 30-day detoxes?
Well, no, it could be different, right?
could
And
be
it
the
depends on the
14.
individual. Yeah, it could
Yeah,
be.
next time you got to do the 14-day one.
It could be the 14-day or the 30 one. But you see, you don't really want to, like we said before when we was talking about Angie's one, we don't really recommend you doing it regular all the time because you're putting your body under stress. But the ultimate method or technique of detoxing is actually your day-to-day food and drink, detoxifying your body and building it. That's where you need to get to. So where everything that you're eating and drinking and exercising is automatically detoxifying the body, because then you're not starving, right? And there's a difference between fasting and detoxing. Fasting is where you don't have anything to drink or eat, so you're actually going through that starving state.
Right.
It's a
And
crisis. It's a
right,
crisis
and that's
within your
usually
body.
when you're actually attacking something a bit more critical on the health side than just trying to lose weight or get into that swimming costume or whatever for the holiday. So we will recommend at least do 2 detoxes a year, but ultimately you try to change your lifestyle, and that's why we have the meal plans and everything else. So your everyday living, how you eat and what your intake is your medicine.
And
Yeah,
I
one of the best
just
things
wanted to point out, starvation isn't hunger. Hunger, a lot of people eat to satisfy hunger,
Right.
but they're starving because starvation is the lack of nutrients
And minerals in
and
the body.
minerals that your body needs to replenish and regenerate
You know.
cells. And it's all about your cells. Everything about you is cells. Every organ, tissue, every system in your body is made up of cells. And it's about getting correct nutrients to those cells to keep your body working, to get electricity to those cells. And starvation, you got here in New York, most people are overweight, obese or whatever,
And not
and they're
just in New
all
York.
starving. They're all starving.
Well, one of y'all starving now because I kept hearing the stomach growling. Which one of y'all was?
No,
That's
that was
him.
me. No, I had grapefruit. I had some grapefruit juice, man.
Your
And I
stomach.
saw you looking at me, man. I was like, I hope this guy. I hope he didn't
I
hear
thought
that.
you was talking, but your lips wasn't moving. I was
Hey guys, so one thing I just want to say,
Thanks
and
a lot, man.
we're gonna actually switch out because we have another testimonial with us. But one thing I do want to say is the difference also is that you felt different, right? You actually would say at times, man, you know what? I feel fuller on less food.
Absolutely.
Because you actually, many times when we eat, we're actually eating empty calories. So what you were doing is you were actually getting the nutrients and minerals you needed, so you didn't need more. You needed less food because you were actually this time satiating what your body really needed.
And I
And
just wanna
that's the
add to
difference.
that.
That's why we have the Life After Detox
A
meal
lot of
plan,
times-
all of that.
A lot of times, you're not even hungry. That's those parasites in the
Yeah,
body that is
I'm
screaming
concerned
out
with that.
to be fed. That's not necessarily what your body need.
Is that the ghrelin?
There's a
gremlin.
habit. There's a
Gremlin.
habit.
They
You know,
call it
you get
gremlin? Just
into a
learned
habit.
that.
I gotta eat at this time, and I gotta eat this at this time, and habit reforms nature. So then, when you come in and you break that, I'm starving.
Right.
And that when you're really not, that's the parasite.
Well, you know,
That's
a
your
lot of
mind.
people said after the detox that I was gonna get on that weight right back up after the detox.
But you haven't.
And no, I haven't. I actually only
You
gained
get a little bit of it back.
I gained 3 pounds after 3 weeks.
That ain't nothing.
But
But that's weight. Don't your body got like weight?
Yeah,
memory?
that's
that's
nothing.
it.
That's
It
not
was
weight.
now I'm stuck in one
Homeostasis.
sentence. I can't go up and I can't go. I'm not complaining, but you know, why do a lot of people?
But your body
gain weight?
settles.
Why do a lot of people gain weight after their detox? Where they gain all their weight back?
'Cause
They go back to regular
right
eating.
back to the bull crap.
right back to eating
I think one of the
garbage.
best things about doing a detox is it does introduce you to foods that maybe you weren't eating before.
Yeah.
And it also makes you think more before you eat.
I eat
because-
butternut squash.
Because
I
food
know,
is your
variety,
medicine.
right?
You're
it makes you
using
think,
food
too,
as
like
your
sometimes
medicine.
Avocados.
After
I
you
be
do a
eating all types of
detox, you
crazy.
kind of have more of a, okay, let me just before I just go out and go crazy.
What are
and
options?
Let me think about this first. And sometimes you might make better decisions based off of having done 30 days of making better decisions.
Oh, my fruit game is crazy now.
Excellent.
Oh, we know, Envy.
Yeah, my fruit game is crazy.
So I wanted to just, we're going to have another sister join us, but I wanted to just wrap up with Rochelle's story to say that a key thing also, this is transition changed the rest of her life. And even in the way she's raising Carl, you know, and for instance, there was a season where when you first had him, you were having issues lactating and you gave him formula and he developed eczema. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I was just born with it. Oh, I have eczema. That's just an allergy. The baby's now allergic. It was actually from the food. And this is what we try to tell people. Allergies come from the food.
Right.
Every condition is coming from the food. Because when he actually went on breast milk, because she went to a lactation consultant and started to get her breast milk to really flow regularly, everything went away.
And that's true. When people do detoxes, sometimes the allergies that they've had to certain foods
Exactly.
are gone.
But let's just say this quickly, because I know we're on a time thing. When you actually talk about foods, right, it's not actually food you're eating. It's chemical compounds mixed and added with artificial coloring, artificial preservative, artificial flavoring. So what you're actually eating is a drug.
It's chemical.
It's chemical. It's a chemical compound.
Yeah.
So it's not actually food. And that's one of the things that you really have to, you know, get educated on, that what you're consuming on a day-to-day basis is not food. Now, what we've introduced you to, Charlamagne gonna be on board soon, right?
The what,
'Cause he-
detoxing?
but no, just eating food.
Life after detox.
I eat
Real.
clean now.
Using food as your medicine.
I eat clean now.
That's not what I was told. But anyway,
I don't know
right?
who lied to you. I don't know who lied to you.
But
I've
the
been
thing
eating clean.
is that you've seen for yourself, both of you have variety. You're starting to see like, wow, this is really food. And you're feeling the benefits from it, of eating real food. So, you know, when things like that happen with estrogen dominance, eczema, high blood pressure, it's because you're eating drugs. You're not actually eating food.
Now, what are the supplements? Because people ask, you know, a lot of people ask me about the detox, I guess because they can actually see it, which
Right.
made it easier for me because I knew that everybody was looking and I had to finish this 30 days because it was difficult.
Peer
But
pressure.
What do the supplements do? And for people out there listening and want to try it, how can they try it? So, what do the supplements do?
So this is the thing. One of the most important things about how we eat in general now is supplementation, because the minerals and nutrients in the soil is depleting. So even when we're buying, you know, produce
foods, yeah.
and it's organic or whatever, the soil there's a problem. So the actual supplementation that we get, especially with like the infertility and with fibroids and PCOS, the whole reproductive issue going on in women,
Reversing
we have a supplement called Essence of Fertility. Now we developed that, and not only does it get rid of fibroids and PCOS and endometriosis
Inhibits
and
the
you know, thyroid issues, it also, the symptoms like the heavy bleeding, it gets rid of the heavy bleeding. It gets rid of cramping. We've had women who've been cramping since their first period, and after a couple of months, they're like, there's no pain. We don't have any more cramping.
You're not supposed to cramp when your period on?
Never.
And
That's
you're
a
not supposed to
problem.
bleed
That's
that heavily
inflammation.
either, which is
Right.
crazy because sometimes, like, I don't know if there's too much information for you guys, but you know, you go to bed at night, and this is not just me. Like, a lot of us will talk about this, and you wear a super plus tampon, but then you also have to wear a pad because you bleed right through it,
Yep.
and it's a really huge inconvenience.
Right. And,
Well,
and that's
and
what's
not only
supposed to
that,
happen.
it's an indicator that
embarrassing.
something's wrong.
But you know, not for TMI, but my wife doesn't bleed much at all, and she has never cramped since 16.
She doesn't even get her period with all those kids. Y'all,
Well,
she's
yeah,
always
that's the
pregnant.
kids, but it's the weirdest thing because the fifth, you know, usually when I touch my wife, she's pregnant. But this baby has been the hardest because we don't know why. And it's like we checked the sperm, we checked her, and everything is right. So we're gonna try the fertility thing and see if it works. But
Wait, you trying to have another baby?
why not?
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's right.
Evie
That's
always
right.
says this is it after every baby,
Well,
and then
not after.
You know what it
every
is?
year he has another one.
They love
It
kids.
keeps you young.
That's the
and-
first
and-
commandment.
and it's
You didn't
actually-
say last time that was
Be
the last
fruitful.
one.
I might have said that.
Okay.
So we wanted to. I just wanted to say something. So when we say a cycle, right? What women are experiencing is not a cycle. It's the body
Hemorrhage.
screaming out that something's wrong. They're hemorrhaging. They're having hot and cold flushes.
Well, I think this is actually a good time to introduce Annalise's story
sure, go
let's
ahead.
hear
because,
this.
you know, Annalise Henry, Dr. Annalise Henry, who's a psychologist, school psychologist, she joined the program really around the time we launched. And I want you to talk about your case because, I mean, headline, Annalise eliminated 50 fibroids on our program with no surgery. 50.
Wow.
All right.
No
so
hysterectomy.
shout out. No hysterectomy.
Wow.
Yeah. So kind of give us a case of your story. Just give them the highlights and summary.
Okay.
Because, you suffered from everything they were talking about. And we have a live, real case right here.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a little emotional.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to be like that, but when I had a fibroid since I was like in my 20s. I'm 43 now, and I initially had the surgery. I had the myomectomy, and I was about 27, 28. And
what is that?
Myomectomy is just the removal of the fibroids and leaving your
Surgical
uterus
procedure.
intact.
So how do they do that? Do they like scrape
They
it?
cut.
They cut
into
yeah.
Okay.
It's like a C-section. It's
Oh, they cut your
basically
stomach
it's
open?
I have a
There
cut.
are
I have
laser
the
options
C-section
I
now.
didn't
cut.
know that.
But-
Okay.
So I have the C-section cut. This is basically the same healing time. I was on the same ward as the people having babies. It was like, honestly, it was so degrading because you had to walk around to kind of get after the surgery to get back into, normal exercise, and there were just babies all around. I'm like, I don't know if this could ever be a reality for me. So it was really emotional. But after that, I had decided not to eat meat. I stopped eating red meat, and I stopped eating chicken at that time. And I introduced soy. I ate so much soy as a replacement for the meat, not knowing how damaging the soy was. So the fibroids grew back very quickly.
I'm glad you said that because the people think vegetarian.
lot
I
of
just have
vegans.
soy meat.
That's why we say
Instead,
don't
and it's not
trade
even good for you.
animal-based toxins for plant-based toxins.
Right.
That's the key education. So you know what foods are actually healing. Just because they're plants doesn't mean they heal you. And that's why we do the education piece. Go ahead.
Right. So because of that, the fibroids, they grew and grew and grew, and I knew I didn't want to have surgery anymore. So I just kind of waited. I just waited for an option, a solution.
Rescue.
And then I had actually elected to have another surgery, the laparoscopic surgery, because I heard it was not as invasive. And this was about a year prior to me hearing about the program,
And
the
what's
whole
that?
Beyond.
Laparoscopic.
The laparoscopic is just kind of laser. They insert a laser into your belly button, like around your belly button, and they take the fibroids out through that. So it's less invasive, less hospital time, less healing time. So a lot of people but still surgery.
So still trauma to the body.
So I was going to do that, and actually the reason why that didn't happen was because the doctor on the day of the surgery was acting so erratic. She was upset with me because I was late. Hey, I'm Jamaican. I'm always late. That's just how it is.
I've been saying it for years.
It's in our blood. I try.
I've been saying it for years about Jamaica. No one listening.
It's no problem.
Easy.
So she was very upset with me because I was like ruining her schedule, her operating
And you was like,
schedule.
fuck that. This
like,
is
I'm already
surgery.
So I just looked at her and I was like, you are not touching me today. And I got up and left.
God's plan.
And let me tell you, it was such a plan of God, because the next day I was like searching for doctors. I was like, I have to get rid of these fibroids. I was like desperate. I found another doctor, just went for a consultation. I brought all the paperwork from the NYU hospital, did all the pre-op stuff, and the doctor looked at my iron levels and said, you better thank God that you didn't have that surgery. Your iron levels are so low that it's possible you could have bled out on that table.
Ooh, isn't that crazy?
So I heard that and I was just like, wow, I dodged the bullet. That was definitely divine intervention. I ended up, I was in Manhattan that day. I ended up walking across the Brooklyn Bridge, just feeling like I could conquer the world, that I'm alive. Wow.
And now you have a good excuse to continue being late.
So fast forward.
So fast forward to the program, Gessie called me about the program. And at that time, it sounded so good, and I probably would have done anything. I would have eaten fire if they told me eat fire, you get rid of your fibroid. Okay, I'll do it. Like, I was at that level because it just affected so much of my life, my personal life, my romantic life. Having a relationship because
Why?
Because it was embarrassing. I didn't know. I had a lot of bloating. I had a lot of cramping. The cramping was intense. I mean, I had to take days off of work every month for the first couple of days because it was so intense. The bleeding was intense. So the first 3 days of my cycle, which would last about 8 or 9 days, the first 3 days were just extremely heavy. So I would have to use a tampon and a pad. And like the super big overnight pads.
All
No,
right.
but it's
Listen,
important. You know what?
listen.
Women need to know. When you're changing,
this is what is going
you're
on.
changing that,
it's very
and you were
If you bump
changing
into a
it.
woman and you see her uncomfortable, you
were
need to know that maybe something's going on.
At that point, you were having to change that situation every hour.
Yeah,
Understand
every
what we're talking
hour.
about? Every hour.
Yeah,
Those are the
big
pads I bought my
tampons.
daughter for her first period. She didn't need that much, but I didn't know. I was just
Poor
Go
girl.
ahead, I'm sorry, continue.
But women living like this is the point that
Yeah.
that's the kind, and so she's hemorrhaging literally every month.
Every month.
She's hemorrhaging.
And then
the
I'm
cramping
anemic.
is debilitating.
That's keeping
She's
your iron low,
anemic.
too.
Yeah,
I was anemic
exactly.
since I was a little
No
girl,
energy.
so it just became even worse then. And
So you started
when
the
I
Beyond
started
Fibroids
the
Elimination
program.
Did the Detox 14.
I did the Detox 14. It changed my life. I mean, every day I would wake up and see my face. I was just disappearing. Like you
She
would
was over
see-
200 something pounds also.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I forgot to say
So,
that.
so I
put her
lost
out there.
about 40 something pounds and plus. So it was just it's changed my life. I was a different person because I finally felt like I had a solution to this problem I've been dealing with for like 20 years, almost 20 years. In fact, in my whole reproductive years.
But tell them when you went and had the second test done, when you had the ultrasound.
So
So,
wait, but her
right.
symptoms went from that, because I wanted them to know that she went from that to your cycle went to every 28 days.
Right.
No, what was the bleeding and the cramping like?
So the bleeding and the cramp. The first thing that stopped was a cramping, because after I started taking the essence of fertility, my cramps disappeared, and I was like, wow! It was like a miracle.
So you said disappeared
miracle.
or reduced?
Really, they kind of
said
disappeared.
disappeared.
I
They
just wanna
kind of
make sure.
disappeared.
That's
Yeah,
phenomenal.
because even now,
I just want to make sure your
Yeah.
period may be thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It does. And you're like,
you don't get
oh, I
cramps,
wasn't
you're like,
ready
"Ah,
for
man,
this.
I didn't get cramps at work."
That's phenomenal. Then what
So,
happened with the bleeding?
so the bleeding also was reduced. I still have bleeding, like heavy days, just not like it was before.
Right.
So my heavy days are like 1.5 days now. And it changes every month, but it's pretty much like that. It lasts about 7 days, but there's more like moderate to light, like the rest of the days. So I don't have to adjust my life and adjust my schedule now.
Right.
For this
You got a life back.
problem. Yeah.
So what happens when you go to the doctor and they're like, "There's no more fibroids"?
Well,
what do you
that's-
tell them?
Well, so this is the thing. So I still have some fibroids because I had a lot of fibroids and they were big.
You had
Some of
55.
them, I had
These
57.
are
57.
MRI reports.
So when I went to, I kept on the program because, like I said, I was sold after that 14-day, and it was hard for me because I love food and
I did it too.
like
trust me.
lasagna and an oxtail
I
and all
feel
of that
you.
stuff, and you know what I mean.
People were looking like chicken wings when I walked past them.
I just kept thinking of lasagna. Lasagna was on the top of my list. I was like, I have to have some lasagna before I start this program. And I never actually had the lasagna because I just kept hearing more information. I was like, I don't want to do this to myself. So,
But fast forward,
so-
you finally your symptoms started changing. You knew something was going on,
yeah.
and then in July, because you started in January, in July you went for your sonogram to say, okay,
Yes.
let me get the real deal. So
Yes.
that's why I told her, I wanted to see the MRI. I wanted to see it myself, and tell us what the doctor told you.
Okay, so I was actually in Florida. My parents live in Florida, and I was vacationing with them, and I had the doctor fax me the report, and I knew I was eliminating because of how it felt.
What did it feel like when you eliminated?
It just feels like you're having a bowel movement.
Oh, so you can actually see them?
Yeah,
I didn't
you
know
see
that.
the tissue. I've had actually elimination periods that came in between cycles during that time. So I would have like not every 2 weeks, but there was a point where I would have an elimination cycle like 2 weeks after a regular
What does that look like?
menstruation. It's basically the same. You're bleeding the same, but it's a lot more tissue.
Okay.
You actually
So
see tissue.
so you actually
Wow.
see
Looks
the
like a
tissue.
pound
It's like-
of liver
it looks
that
like-
you
Stop
get from
Remember,
the
the
deli.
fibroid
It's
is a
made of
tumor
muscle.
Yeah.
So it's like
So it does it does look like liver. It's like
Pound of
fatty.
liver.
It's like
How he knows
fatty.
Wow.
But it's not it wasn't as like big but
Right,
no,
it's in
definitely
pieces.
changes.
It's in pieces.
Like because it was breaking it up.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So no pain. You know, I never felt any pain. What I would feel though is I had a lot of leg cramps. Like my body was almost like my body was experiencing some of the effects that I would have had if I had surgery. This was the alternate, and I would take that any day. I would take the leg cramps over, you know, trying to figure out how to walk again after having surgery.
When you're eliminating, you are losing blood. So
Right.
you were literally, you would have to replenish it, and you would do that with the foods and everything and the supplements. But that's because your body was eliminating. So tell us what the doctor said.
So the doctor said that I had eliminated, the MRI showed I had eliminated 50 fibroids, and they actually counted the ones that I had left. So I had 7 left, and they counted them and measured them. You know, prior to this, you couldn't see my ovaries. My ovaries were obscured because of how many fibroids were in my uterus. So the chance of children, anything like that, was just out of the question, you know, just even a thought. So that's why, again, I said like my personal life was so affected, because I just didn't feel like a woman. I didn't feel like I had that much to offer to a relationship. So it did affect me in my dating life. So, you know, once I saw that, I was like, wow. You know what I mean? I felt it. I felt like it was going. I had no idea it was going to be to that extent.
Wow.
But I was super focused on this program. And not to say that I didn't have cheat meals, not cheat days. I had cheat meals. Because times when, you know, when you're making this transition, it's hard. And certain food, like I said, I'm Jamaican, like, you know, escovitch fish. I would have escovitch fish and then be sick. Yeah. And then I would get sick though. My body started rejecting it. Right. So that helped me to stay on course.
No, you
because
learn a lot. I don't know. I posted a picture of me trying to make butternut squash. My wife wasn't home, and it blew up in the blender.
Yeah.
The butternut squash was all over my kitchen, like bad.
Yeah, we saw that.
That's a normal expectation.
I didn't know you needed a detox to learn that.
So the interesting thing now, so you've got like how many left?
I have, well, I don't know. I haven't had a sonogram since then.
Less than that.
I still feel them. That's why I haven't had. I was like, I want to, you know, kind of just
And
wait
that
a
has
little
to be
more
a
time.
motivation to keep with the program.
Yeah,
to get it.
absolutely.
But I think it's important because so many women hit me up after you guys were here last time talking about their fibroids. Where can I learn how to eliminate my fibroids? Because it's an issue, like you said, 90% of black women
Well, we
are
have
dealing with.
fibroidelimination.com. Okay, we have electrichealth.org. All right, as well as those other websites, and these where you could set up consultations. We have webinars. We have articles that explains, you know, estrogen dominance that Charlemagne was asking about. So there's several articles on the fibroidelimination.com website. So there's tons of information that we provide.
And women
out
are so concerned about fertility, and like you said, it's not just the woman too. For the man, you guys should figure out.
Absolutely. No, well, the program
Together.
actually has, there are supplements for the men too. And again, that's why we want them to download the free seminar so that they can learn and listen together. Because when they're on the same page and they do it together, like with Rochelle, because she and her husband did it together, within a month's time, they were actually pregnant.
Right.
You know,
You and your wife did the detox together, right?
Yeah,
detox.
and
And
there
Gia
was-
wasn't trying to lose weight. She did it to just be healthier, to the point where Gia had to eat like 5 times a day, not to lose weight, and she still lost 10 pounds.
Right.
Like me,
but she
I
was
like,
losing toxins.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
You know,
And Gia didn't really have great eating habits before that.
No, the first couple of days she had headaches because she used to drink soda so much. So the caffeine would give her like bad headaches, but that only lasted 2-3 days.
Right.
You gotta get
So
past that.
Because of the acid of the stomach now is starting to balance itself out. Those chemicals that's coming into the brain, and that's why she was having that.
And that's
because
what's
the
so important
worst-
about the supplements as well, because there are supplements that are there to eliminate toxins. Then there are supplements that are there to regenerate. So like you don't look skinny, you look like you're athletic. You see what I'm saying? And that's what's important.
Deceptive.
We don't want
I am. Okay.
you know I'm lying to. And I ain't lying to you. But the thing is, it's about, again, it's those cells. It's about getting electricity to those cells, getting electricity and oxygen to the mitochondria, because that's life. That's energy. That's electricity.
That's
That's why we call everything electric. Everything is
ATP.
electric. So, you know, there's a lot of myths out there about alkalinity and acidity, where everyone wants to eat alkaline, but that is not the case. There's so many myths, and we have an underground railroad situation. There's a lot of us, like you see myself and Dr. Amun. There's a lot of other researchers that we have, like Dr. Enki. There's people who are out there.
Yeah, right.
Chef Emmy Wood, you know, other people that are out there who we share information with. We get information from them
KT,
on
the
this is what KT the architect, or the arch degree. We get so much information and we share, and sometimes we debate even. You know, where's the white paper to you know,
it's a health revolution.
Behind the scenes, there's a revolution going on, an underground railroad. And
I want to say peace out to the brothers.
Yeah,
Dr.
The man them.
Would a doctor tell you that? Like now, after you went and the doctor saw that you eliminated, 50 fibroids, would a doctor tell another patient, you know what, I have another patient who actually changed her eating habits?
Not every doctor, but
not everyone. But this particular doctor, I've been going to her since I was 16. She's also Jamaican, and her maiden name is Henry. So we think that we're possibly related.
Might be.
We're possibly related. So she's very good. She actually has been very honest with me. And she was like, listen, the program's working, keep doing it.
Right.
But my other doctor is not like that.
So
give them the website again and tell people what they should do if they want to, because it's not about losing weight, it's about getting healthy.
It's about getting.
And I didn't do it to lose weight. I actually did it to get healthy and to make sure I didn't have problems.
So we have a number of websites. So our one was well,
I would say everything is really centralized at thedetoxnow.com. You'll get the consults with the doctors there. You get to see her whole testimonial. You'll get to, listen to Rochelle's story on the podcast. Everything, you can schedule your consult with the docs, because the other thing is there are plenty of people who have chronic conditions and pre-existing conditions, and they really don't know what to do about it. And what we want them to know is our team is ready to help them not just treat a condition, but actually cure a condition at the root and change their lives for real.
And you'll see more and more people who are doing, I know, the detox now, because we set up some of my friends, and they're going to be, doing the detox to get healthier. Yeah. And I want to say I thank you guys, because I know dealing with me was difficult, because I'm the type of guy, I'm like, no.
Can I eat this?
Can I eat this? I've been in the middle of something. Can I eat this? They're like, no.
Show a picture.
But I appreciate you guys.
And I wanted to shout out Waka and Tammy, because they were like the first people to say, look, we want to do your detox. And they're showing us so much love. So I just want to throw that out there.
Shout to them too.
Yeah, Killer Mike and C-Note. There's a lot of people that are really trying to get conscious about their health now.
And shout out to all the sisters and the brothers out there who, you're hungry for health. You're hungry for something different. And what we want you to know is that your body really has the power to heal itself. All right? Because they have that fear. They have that concern. Well, do I have to have surgery? Or, is that my only option? Well, the truth is the surgery only deals with the symptoms. Right. The fibroids came back 5 times in my case. They came back in her case. Every case we know. But the truth is you can actually cure it at the root and prevent them from returning. And we're here to help you.
All right. I just want to say one thing real quick. Women who do get hysterectomies, it doesn't get rid of the estrogen dominance. Yeah. And the next thing that happens is thyroid issues, right? And breast cancer. Because you lose your womb through a hysterectomy, they give you hormone replacement therapy, and guess what hormone they give you?
From that.
They give you estrogen.
That's critical because, so in my case, I ended up with a hysterectomy and menopause. And that's how I came to the doctors in the first place, because they wanted to put me on hormone replacement drugs. Because they try to tell you that, the only way you're going to be able to get rid of it is the hysterectomy. Well, guess what? Now I went from the frying pan into the fire with the removal of the uterus. And then what happened now at that point is you got to say, okay, I got to make a change, because I know those hormone replacement drugs are strongly linked to development of cancer. Like, I'm not about to be going from fighting fibroids to menopause to cancer. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, again, that's what linked us starting this whole Hope Beyond Fibroids elimination program. And now the detox and more.
Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for helping me out, too. I really appreciate it, man.
Yes, for me as well, too. I do appreciate you.
Girl, we're not finished with you.
Anytime.
We have more
Thank you for having us.
Now, just staying on the meal plan, that's the tough part. But I'm 75%
Listen, you know what? That's what I love.
I'm 75% on it.
Steps. You're taking steps.
Process. Yep.
All right, well, it's the Breakfast Club.
And I have to say, Envy smells better. He used to be funky in here every day.
Oh, wow.
It does change.
I'm glad the room doesn't smell like we used to have to light candles.
Yo, not for nothing, my gas don't smell anymore.
It doesn't. I'm just going to say gas doesn't stink anymore.
It used to be a disaster. Envy being here farting, sweating, stinking.
They don't believe me.
They don't believe you, but it's
my
real.
ish don't stink. It doesn't.
Your underarms don't stink anymore.
So I want to thank you guys as well.
All right, it's the Breakfast Club. Thank you, Doc.
You're welcome.